Hi, my name is Jessica Cha. I'm an attorney here at Pinkham and Associates.
And I'm Doug Pinkham. We are a dedicated family law firm here in Orange County. Another question we get very often is about annulment. People ask if they can get their marriage annulled instead of going through a divorce.
And I think there's a common misconception that just because they've heard about it on TV with various celebrities, that it's an easy process that anybody who's interested in it, can get done.
Very oftentimes people think that a short duration, if they've only been married for 3 days or a month, that they can get their marriage annulled instead of getting divorced, and that is not the case.
I mean, there are very strict and narrow guidelines for getting an annulment, and there are what is called void marriages or void ab initio, not legal from the very beginning, and then there are what we call voidable marriages, and depending on which category of marriage your marriage would fall under would determine whether or not you can get an annulment.
An example of that would be the two methods for having a voided marriage, void ab initio, would be a bigamous marriage, marrying somebody that's already married, knowingly married, or you are already married, knowingly married when you marry the second time, or two, an incestuous marriage, marrying a close family member, that kind of thing.
And those in those situations, when you file for an annulment, it doesn't matter if the other person doesn't want the annulment or the separation. It was never legally formed, therefore you were never legally married. And
so it's basically automatic.
And in those two scenarios, the annulment is almost automatically granted. Mm-hmm. But there are what we call voidable marriages, which enters into the realm of legal argument, meaning that it's not an automatic annulment, and there are arguments of fact and law that can be made to determine whether or not you can even annul the marriage.
And people often think that annulment equates to an easy way out of a marriage. These voidable factors are actually very narrow, very specific, and must be proven to a judge, typically out loud in a trial, to be granted. Can you give us an example of what they are?
Yeah, sure. There are, some maybe age issues. Maybe you were underage when you got married. Maybe there was a prior existing marriage, meaning somebody thought they had gotten a divorce and maybe it was never finalized and they remarried and, it was discovered that maybe they were still married.
Well, another example of that would be if, say, your spouse has been gone for more than 5 years and thought possibly to be dead, but turns out they're alive, and in that process, or in that time you got married again. That would be a voidable marriage under this case.
If there was some sort of fraud that was involved, typically, the most obvious one is maybe a green card situation where you only get married to get a green card, or maybe you tell your partner that you are dying to have children, even though you know that you absolutely physically are not capable of producing or bearing children.
Or don't want children.
Yeah, exactly. And there's also maybe you were forced into getting married. Maybe some of those arranged marriages might qualify for an annulment, and even physical incapacity. If you can't consummate the marriage, close the deal the night you get married, and you're not able to ever, that might be a situation where you can annul the marriage. But as you can see, these are very fact specific. There's no overarching general, hatch door that you can just, escape and get your marriage annulled.
It is not simple. It is not easy. Except for those two, bigamous and incestuous marriages, those are basically automatic. But other than those, this is not a simple way to end a marriage.
You could spend just as much money trying to get an annulment as you can trying to get a divorce.
Under certain circumstances, you could.
Exactly. So an annulment is a very, very narrow process, and I would not recommend anybody try to file papers for an annulment on their own if they believe that there is a true scenario that might qualify for an annulment. I highly recommend that you contact an attorney and discuss the specifics of your case to see if you qualify for an annulment and if it's worth that legal battle, or whether you should just simply file for a divorce.
So if you think you fall into that category or you need some advice in this area, feel free to give us a call. Our initial consultations are always free, and we'd be happy to let you know where you're at on those facts, if it's possible to get an annulment. Thank you very much.
Thank you.